thing you'll come to realize by the end is that I forgot to record until just now, but I am recording now. And so I'm gonna do some sort of magic, I guess, and sort of backtrack it. Kind of do some. We'll fix it. We'll fix it in post.
That is glorious. I can't wait to hear that.
It's wonderful. I am actually gonna just reintroduce everyone real quickly.
Yeah, sure.
So we're GameBusters, podcast from GameLuster.com. This is Ree, my co-host, and then there are our guests. We have Jess and we have Tim, and they are all lovely, lovelier than the last one, each one of them. All right, so let's get into it. So yeah, we are talking about the Dishonored games today, and we're gonna open on a little fun sort of brain teaser. Which of the Dishonored powers would you like to have if you could only have one, and how would you avoid letting it corrupt you and become a supervillain?
I mean, I can go first if nobody else wants to.
Yeah.
I mean, I give this sort of thing a thought every general day. Is what I do with superpowers.
Oh, interesting.
Well, I mean, not
how could I stop myself from becoming a supervillain?
No, what I do with superpowers, I usually don't assume that I'd stop myself becoming some sort of petty villain.
Right.
I try to give myself reasonable goals, like don't get caught, don't attract the attention of superheroes.
Okay.
But no, the Dishonored power that I'd probably... It is a sort of a toss-up. Either the Doppelganger, because I've mentioned that is a power I'd like to have before, or the Shadow Walk, because of the sheer speed that you can go in darkness. You could go cross-country if it was dark enough. With no effort.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, that makes sense, yeah, if it's nighttime. Yeah. I think I would like to do Wind Blast, because then I could pretend I'm the Avatar.
But the Avatar could do all four.
You'd just
be an airbender, man.
I would just be starting. I would just be getting started. Okay.
Well, you gotta shave your head and get the arrow tattoos.
I already did that. Good. So good news there.
You're a fake Nirav fan there, Tim.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Also, when everyone was doing the anime faces through the Snapchat filter, I definitely if I just widened my eyes, I just looked exactly like Aang. So I did some post and added a big blue arrow on there. And maybe that'll be on the cover for this one. Who knows? But yeah, okay. Ree, I know you. So I'll go and let everyone know you're not super familiar with Dishonored beyond the very good video we did last week.
I suppose it's a good enough time as any to introduce that fact for 2 weeks running now. I have not played the game we're going to discuss. However, I do think I have a fairly good knowledge of the first game because based on the video, which you should absolutely watch when it's out, where I very accurately guessed the plot. Very accurately.
Oh, yes.
100%.
Yeah, no, the reptile conspiracy was 1,000% canon.
It's a lot, but that should be up on Wednesday, I believe. Look for it then on youtube.com/GameLuster. It is pretty good. Okay, and I don't know, Jess, do you have a power in mind that you want to not let corrupt you, or you can just choose to be corrupted?
Oh yeah, it would be bend time, of course, and I would just let that corrupt me, really. If I'm late for work, just bend time, pause time for a bit, and turn up at work. What? I'm on time.
Did you say turn up at work?
Yeah, just turn up. Well, I could pop if I bended time whilst late for work, I could still have time to grab a coffee, just sit around in the park for a bit.
Okay, when you said turn up at work, it sounded like you were gonna get wasted while at work.
No.
Oh no.
Turn up, not get turned up. Come on, there's a difference.
Oh, okay. Yeah, get turned up.
You're
yeah,
not
get
very down with the kids there, are you? With the terminology.
Yeah.
No, I'm an old man. I'm going through my quarter life crisis.
I really love the variety we've had in discussing the powers there, because you've got Tim I regularly think about being a supervillain, and then there's Jess I regularly fantasize about getting to work at a decent time.
Yeah. And then I generally fantasize about being confused with a cartoon character.
We know.
We're really getting a sense of everyone's personality this episode.
Yeah, that's sort of my aesthetic. Let's move into the Hall of Fameluster. Everyone, please. I've got the velvet rope is missing. It has been stolen.
It may have been burnt.
We're We're not sure where it is. It's not here.
Maybe the
That's
moon
insane. We were thin on the content for stuff in this Hall of Fame luster anyway, so that's bad.
Yeah, we're gonna be okay. The velvet rope kind of like gave it a little bit of an air of like, you know, sophistication, even though it's very clearly not, considering it's only 2 walls. But yeah, we're actually thinking about widening it because we've run into a problem. If you were here with us last week, we have to fit the whole moon from Majora's Mask into here. So we've run into a sort of a construction problem.
Well, there's a place you can put anything. It's velvet. It's a velvet room. Anything can go in there.
I think we also said that maybe we'd even consider putting the museum itself on the moon while it crashes down and hopefully helps us out. So,
or in the moon,
because
there's a whole different world in there.
Right, that's the Nazi conspiracies they're in there.
No, I mean,
do you guys know about the Hollow Moon conspiracies?
And the Hollow Earth, and the Flat Earth, and the Toroidal Earth. Trust me, I love hilarious conspiracy theories.
It's like if you think of the Flat Earthers as crazy, like never ever look this up. But there's like a whole conspiracy group that believes that like the Nazis are like still like around inside them. They've hollowed out the moon and they're building like a super weapon inside there. Mm-hmm. And they're gonna come for us any moment.
In the documentary Iron Sky, it's very informative.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah, so everyone check out the Hollow Moon with the Nazis in it. Anyway, we're in the Hall of Fame luster.
The Hollow Fame
So today we're going to be trying to pick out the best Bethesda companion. This was, by the way, this episode was inspired by the acquisition of Bethesda Softworks by Microsoft. And because I do want to talk a little bit at the end there, we'll talk about kind of like, what do we think that the series is going to be going? What do you think Microsoft's going to be doing with these IPs? But yeah, so let's jump into it. All right, Jess, why don't you start us off?
I would have gone for either one of the Fallout 4 companions because they're so sweet, like Deacon or Hancock or Nick Valentine. But I've been playing Skyrim recently, and it's got to be Mjolnir the Lioness because I can barely do anything whilst she's my companion. She just rips for enemies like butter. It's just like one shot.
Which one is this? I don't think I've used her before.
She's one of the companions.
Yeah, she's.
I gathered that, I guess, but. Okay, so she's like a Khajiit then?
No, she's a Nord. You find her in Riften, and
she said she was the lioness. So.
Yeah, that's her nickname.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
She's like lost her sword, and you find it for her, and she's an absolute beast. And yeah, just great. I was quite shocked.
All right, nice. Tim, how about you?
I am also going to go with Skyrim. I'm just going to. I mean, I've got a sort of more general answer. I've also got a joke answer, and that's the glitches. But my actual answer is the horses of Skyrim, because they will fight dragons and win. And the best one is Anvark, the horse that you can just summon anytime because he's a ghost, so you don't have to worry about him dying.
I do love him. Yeah, you get him from the DLC, I think, right?
So, but other than him, it's Shadowmere, the guy, the horse that basically can't die and is super aggressive against dragons.
Okay, dragon fighting horse is good. Ree, how about you?
Okay, well, this is the first episode in a while where I'm very confident no one else has gone for my pick. So we're going to Fallout 3 for my one, and we are going with the one, the only, Butch. You know, everyone's favourite Fallout 3 character, the dude that bullies you at the beginning, and then as some people discover, you can recruit later on when you find him in that place that's a massive boat and he's in a bar somewhere.
Rivet City.
Rivet City, there we go. And it's got to be him because it's just so peak Fallout that you have this dude running around in this like embarrassingly bad attempt to be this like 50s bad boy and everything, and he's just so funny. He's like the only, because all the companions in Fallout 3 are mostly pretty one note. Like obviously no one in that, I think I'm right in saying that none of them even have like personal quests or anything, but Butch really stands out.
Probably not.
No, I don't think they do. And yeah, Butch like stands out.
You have to do quests to recruit some of them.
Yeah. But he's just, his dialogue's so funny, his look is so funny. When you have him as a companion, you do it by saying, "Hey, let's form the Tunnel Snakes." You know, the Tunnel Snakes alone is why he's on this list. So,
I mean, and I mean, it goes without saying, Tunnel Snakes rule.
Oh yeah,
obviously.
Also, you're forgetting the fact that when he is not your companion, he can be a hairdresser.
That is a very good point. I unfortunately got a glitch in my game where he permanently had his limbs crippled, so I just had to leave him in Rivet City to live out the rest of his days. That was really sad.
Huh. That is sort of a tragic ending. I don't know. I think it adds to his story though a little bit.
Whilst we're on the topic of Fallout 3, can we talk about the worst companion?
Is it Fox, the guy who doesn't go into
the
reactor?
He does if you have the DLC, but yes, that was bullshit.
Yeah. Did you purchase the DLC from Todd Howard?
This is your destiny, no matter how logical it makes for me. Also,
if you would like to change your destiny, it'll be $17.99.
There's also the Ghoul companion who also won't do that, but Fox is so much better that everybody brought him to the end of the game.
Yeah, no, I brought him with me because he was just my companion at the time, right?
But neither him nor your
me.
Ghoul companion will go in for you.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll get at mine, I guess. So mine is maybe a basic bitch pick, but I definitely say Nick Valentine in Fallout 4.
Oh yes, that is a good
He's
one.
a good bro.
He's pretty lovable. I think everybody at least likes him. But if you guys aren't familiar, I mean, anyone's not familiar, in Fallout 4, there's a sort of he's a
robot detective.
He's a robot noir detective.
He sounds like
and
this.
He talks like, now listen here, you see? I caught him down by the docks.
He's not quite that thick,
kind of
but
stuff.
yeah, he's definitely...
And he's got, the trench coat and the hat, and it's beautiful. And he's, a genuinely good guy, sort of, trying to find his humanity by, helping others, because he is a synth, he's a robot. But he was programmed basically to have a human consciousness, and
they literally just copy pasted a guy's brain onto him.
Right, exactly. He was a real man, actually. There was a Nick Valentine that was a real man, but it wasn't him.
Yeah.
And it's a very cool, interesting. I think that Fallout 4 really tried to hit at the the theme of what makes us human, and it sort of barely missed, in my opinion. I don't think it quite made it there, but I do think that Nick Valentine's story, in a bubble, is a really interesting think piece on what does it take to be human. And in the Far Harbor DLC, you get to expand his story by meeting his brother Dima, who is another one just like him, and it's sort of and then you also
gaslight you into thinking you're a synth.
Yeah, and it's a great story. And I mean, I don't think this is a contentious thing to say either. Fallout 4's Far Harbor is the best Fallout content that Bethesda Game Studios has ever produced.
Yeah, no, it's much better than vanilla Fallout 4.
Yeah. If vanilla Fallout 4 didn't hit with you, definitely get Far Harbor, because it is very, very good and much better than the base game.
Honestly, I think Nick's story was way more interesting than the actual main story they were trying to push for the Institute and everything. I feel like he went very underused.
Yeah. That's why he's the focal point of the DLC, which is good, because he was underused.
I mean,
it's kind of what upset me about Fallout 4 was that it had so many really good bits, and then it's just a shame the main storyline just fell to bits. Nick Valentine.
All of the companions, honestly, in Fallout 4 were great. There's probably the best collection of companions in a game ever.
Yeah.
But
it's just a shame that the combat and the struggles between the factions just come across as so pointless and hollow.
Yeah, they do. But that is to say, I don't know if I can talk too much, because I famously have about 800 hours in Fallout 4.
Yeah, you are keeping it profitable for Todd Howard. You are personally keeping it profitable.
Yeah. I am. Well, no, I mean, I've already now. Come on, I've only paid for the game 3 times, and so which is less. Well, that's more. Okay, no, I bought Skyrim 3 times too. Never mind. All right, let's get to the voting before I embarrass myself further. All right, so let's go back around. Jess, where are your 2 votes going?
I can't remember what people said.
Oh, we said we have the Google Doc too. If you want to pop that open.
Mule the Lioness,
yeah.
the horses, Butch, and Nick.
Oh, okay. So I think I've got to go with Rhiannon's choice of Butch and the horses of Skyrim.
Okay. The horses was a really good, interesting poll. Let's see, Tim.
Again, I'm going for the horses, but I also do like Mule. She's a fun character.
Okay. And Ree?
Alright, I'm gonna throw a vote Butch's way again, and also for Nick, because he is best boy.
Yes. I am also. I'm gonna throw vote in for Nick, but you got me with the horses. They are so brave, beautiful, majestic creatures. I discovered recently that I might be a horse girl.
You and Kate will have a lot to talk about.
Yeah. No, I went to I was visiting my mom, and we went to like a vineyard, and there was just like a bunch of horses, and I just like was petting them, and I was like, such majesty.
Oh, yeah.
I was like nearly crying.
Well, you've got to really, you've got to go for the horse girl lifestyle now, and bring up horses in every podcast we do.
Oh yeah, for sure. But yeah, okay. I promise you, unless you're standing next to a horse right now, you have forgotten how big they are. You don't remember.
They are terrifyingly huge. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I mean, they're about as tall. I mean, even the small ones are as tall as I am, and I'm very tall. So.
All right. Well, I have some good news and some bad news. So the good news is that the horses of Skyrim have been inducted into the Hall of Fameluster. The bad news is now that we have to fit every horse from Skyrim into this Hall of Fameluster.
No, it's okay. The physics engine will take over. They'll just all vibrate into a single mass.
Perfect. Thank you, Todd Howard, yet again.
That is somewhat believable. All right. So, let's all step forward into Bustums. Today we are going to be busting open Dishonored. I don't think there are many hammers in this game, so...
It's okay. I brought some from the Thief series.
Oh, got him. All right, so Thief... Yeah, Thief's pretty cool, too. So, I'm going to be ranting for a little bit here. Please bear with me, because I love... the Arkane's games more than any other studio, and I recently the No Clip documentary I highly recommend. They did a documentary on Arkane Studios, who has been now developing for 20 years, but it is fascinating to see their history and all the stuff they've gone through. Highly recommend it. Go check it out on YouTube. Okay, so Arkane Studios is, by the way, right now owned by, I guess it's owned by Microsoft, so never mind. But until about a week ago was, a Bethesda Softworks company.
I mean, it's still technically a Bethesda Softworks.
Still technically under that banner, yes. So, yeah, we'll pull it back. So, basically, Arkane started developing in the year 2000. They put out a few PC games that you may know or probably don't. Dark Messiah of Might and Magic, and then Arx Fatalis. And both of those were like moderately successful, didn't really make a big splash. Arkane went through sort of a hell period where they developed 3 games in a row that were canceled about 3/4 of the way through by the publisher. At this point, they were independent. They're a French company, by the way. Sorry, I should have mentioned that, but... yeah, they're based in Lyon, and they they went through a bit of a rough patch. There was sort of the same core group of people there the whole time, though. And if anyone, you can see all this in the documentary, but the first thing they were doing was a game called LMNO, which was in production, which was Steven Spielberg was making a video game. He was trying to make a video game and tie it into a movie that he was developing and make them a joint entity where you had to do both to understand what was going on in either, and he decided halfway through that wasn't a good idea and canceled the project.
How did that take him halfway through?
Right. It is a really interesting demo, and I believe there's a playable demo of it that, I don't know if you can get to it, but you can watch in the documentary. It's a weird-ass game. But then they started developing a game called The Crossing, which is going to sound very familiar because it evolved into Deathloop eventually, which is coming out soon. The Crossing was a single-player campaign. It was a first-person shooter. where your game would be invaded by other people trying to end your campaign and stop you from achieving your goals. That game got all the way to the point of being finished, and it was like a whole playable build, and then the publisher canceled it. Again, finally, Arkane latched on to Valve. Valve reached out to them and said, hey, do you want to make another Half-Life game? And they were like, yes. So that got pretty popularized. There was a secret Half-Life game called Half-Life Ravenholm, which was going to be... It was not going to be a main series game. It would have been a spin-off, but it, canon to the universe.
Yeah. Anything to avoid a 3.
Yeah, anything to avoid that horrible, horrible number. But yeah, that was somewhat in development. That was in development for a long time, almost finished, and then again, Valve canceled it.
Why? Are they just scared of money? Well,
they're scared.
Steam.
They're scared of money, dude.
Well,
yeah, no, they're not scared of money.
They're scared of games.
They're sitting on piles of it. They're scared of making games.
Yeah.
And so basically at this point, it is 2010, and Arkane has not released a game in about 9 years because all of them keep getting canceled. The only reason they were able to stay open during this time is because they were brought in to make BioShock 2 under 2K Games. So that luckily worked out for them to keep them open a little longer. And finally, in 2009 or 10, they were approached by Bethesda Softworks, and they said, hey, I know you guys have been trying to make a game for a very long time, and no one's letting you. Why don't we just go ahead and buy you? And then you can just, not have to worry about keeping the lights on. And they were like, please, God. Like, I remember
so much in this industry, it's insane.
Oh yeah, it is. And I remember in the documentary that Raph, like the president, he was talking about, like, I remember, like, I got that call, like, we were all sitting in a diner, and, like, I walked outside, and I did the whole thing where, like, I walked back in, it's like, looked really sad, and I was like, they bought us! It's like, oh, that's very good. Oh, so, yeah, at that point, Bethesda bought Arkane Studios and made them a first party, or whatever, a developer under them, basically, and they came to them with a pitch, and they said, like, hey, we've been knocking around this idea about a ninja, like a Japanese, like, warrior in feudal Japan who is the Empress's guard, and the Empress is killed, and he's framed for the murder and has to, like, avenge that murder by killing everyone who framed him and taking the kingdom back. And they were like, yeah, that sounds good. And obviously that eventually evolved into Dishonored. And yeah, it was an interesting turn it took there, but
I was about to say, based on the very limited knowledge I have, admittedly, that is a little bit of a genre change there.
Yeah, a little bit, but it definitely worked out. So they created their own version of Victorian England, their own aesthetic genre called whale punk, their own set of weird, like, powers, like, very, very low. People say, like, this is, like, low fantasy. Like, I think Dishonored is, like, the lowest fantasy you can get.
Actually, by the rules, it's not low fantasy, but it's...
Oh, is it not?
No, well, because they're of the whole outsider and the chaos, it is technically a high fantasy setting, but it falls into the behind the veil, which is a weird subgenre of, there is a high fantasy out there, you don't see it.
Okay, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
We also definitely can't start talking about fantasy subgenres.
Oh yeah, no,
or we'll be trapped forever. Yeah. So getting that. So Dishonored absolutely saved this company. It was a huge critical success, and over time has become a pretty widely beloved series. And so, just to explain real quickly how there's a lot of elements to this series. So. If you were to want to play all of these games, you should play Dishonored 1, then you should play the Dishonored DLC, The Knife of Dunwall, then you should play the DLC, The Brigmore Witches, then you should play Dishonored 2, and then you should play Dishonored Death of the Outsider. All 5 of these pieces together tell the complete story and close out one arc, basically, of story.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause, like, honestly, it'll seem like a lot of... the story will seem... If you only play, like, Dishonored 1 and 2, the story is going to seem kind of patchwork and thrown together to you. There is a lot more going on below the surface that's...
I mean, there's also comics that flesh out the story, too.
Yeah, there are. There's also a novel.
Yeah.
But anyway, like, we'll get into that, but Dishonored has, like, much deeper lore than it has any business having. So yeah, that was mostly my rant. I just want to say, like, before I turn it over, like, these are, like I said, my favorite game series. I have gone back and played all of them many times. I'm currently doing a replay, my third play of Dishonored: Death of the Outsider. I've played Dishonored 2 through, I think, 5 full times with different builds and spent well over 100 hours on it. I could talk about these forever, but I will be quiet now. So Ree's going to take over for a bit and kind of ask some questions and guide the conversation on what she'd like to know.
Yeah, so to hide the fact that I know nothing about these games, well, I know a little bit about the first one now, just to give you guys a taste of how much knowledge I had about this game before Nirav and I filmed a video where I guessed the plot. I started going off on a tangent about a conspiracy theory involving wolves and, what was the other one? Shrimp, I think it was. Humans turning into shrimp. So that's how much knowledge I had going into that video. So to sort of mask that and to allow Nirav to completely fangirl, I'm going to take over the questions here. So first of all, just want to get a feel for, I suppose, how long you guys have been Dishonored fans for. So when did you guys first play the game? I think I'll go to Jess first.
I think it must have been about 13. It wasn't when it first came out. It was a few years after that because I was a big Bethesda fan. I'd just finished playing Skyrim a few years before, and I was slowly getting my way through them. And then I started playing Dishonored. Dishonored probably was my favourite at the time out of Bethesda's games. I tried Rage, wasn't that bothered about it. I tried Evil Within. Evil Within was quite interesting, but Dishonored really stood out. And I just thoroughly enjoyed it. And the second one just kind of improves on everything that made the first one great, whilst just carrying on with the storyline. And then the DLC are just brilliant as well. You can't miss them.
Oh, okay. I think that's an interesting point you just made there, actually, about... I'll probably come back to that in a bit, about where you'd rank the sort of other Bethesda games. But before that, Tim, when did you play Dishonored?
I didn't play it immediate. I think it was either half a year to a year after it came out. I was busy. I might have actually been busy with Skyrim when it first came out. But I definitely picked it up. I played it. I said I want to play another really good stealth game, and I saw immediately that there was an achievement for do it without killing anybody, do it without being seen, do it without any extra powers. And I'm like, okay. That's my run. That is the one run I'm going to do, and if I like it enough, I'm going to do more. And I still actually have to do my high chaos run, but I've done a lot of
what? Come on.
No, I've played it several times. I've just never actually gone through and because I love to play the stealthy type, and I just need to start leaving bodies everywhere. Is the thing. But no, because I played it the way that I got my satisfaction of playing that game was. I went everywhere. I looted everything, but nobody ever saw me. And I was a clean hands ghost, mostly flesh and steel. I got all 3 ding. That first level took me over an hour and 2 attempts to get right because somebody kept dying somehow. Nobody saw me. Somebody kept dying. But after that, it was just ding, ding, ding. And it was so good. And I did the same thing with the sequel. And I just tried to do it as low power as I could, and I really do need to go back and play them as whole hog power as I can.
Okay, and where would you rank it with the other Bethesda titles?
The thing is, it's so fundamentally different because it's a very, not that it's linear corridors, but the plot is so very linear. Whereas the other Bethesda games that I play are almost all the big open worlds. Fallout 4, New Vegas, 3. And Skyrim and the entire Elder Scrolls series. I can't lose myself in it as much as I can the others. I would love an open world game with a lot of its powers.
Oh, okay, that could be interesting. Yeah. All right. Well, Nirav, it's time for you.
Sorry, I want to interrupt quickly. I must. But yeah, that is pretty much what Death of the Outsider is. Yeah. It's like a concentrated open world area where you get some powers and you basically just keep layering upon layering what you can do each like over and over again by having one person die at this part of the story or whatever. It changes the whole course of the thing, and it's sort of like one large area that you kind of explore.
Okay. So sort of like anyway. a big version of like the early levels.
Yeah, it's like a much bigger version of just one of the levels in one of the other games. Yeah.
Okay, well, I mean, anyway, I was gonna throw over to you anyway, Nirav, to talk about your personal history with these games when you started playing them.
Yeah, I actually didn't play this one until 2015 or so, when I got a PS4. So I've explained before, I really didn't have any non-Nintendo systems until about 2015, which is when I got a PS4. And I got a PC the year after, but anyway, I got that PS4, and so I started like diving into some video games. And after I went through the Fallout games, I was kind of like just on Reddit asking around, like, hey, what else can I do? Where there's like a lot of choices on how to like change the story and stuff. And somebody just recommended this to me, and I was like, how did I not hear about this one? And I jumped in and was very, very, very much immersed, I guess, in the world. I was very taken in by the story. And I finished that, I think, in one weekend, and I went back, and I remember that because I actually went and got... I got that. I think I got the definitive edition, like, on the PS4 store, I think. And then, like, I remember that day, like, I finished it. The second I finished it, I got up and I drove to GameStop and just bought the second game.
Oh my god! Okay, that is high praise. Bloody hell!
Yeah.
God.
That must have been like in 2016 then, I suppose, when I played it then. But anyway, yeah, I do remember doing that. But yeah, so I was very taken in by it, and I did 3 playthroughs on PS4 on Dishonored 2 also, where like just like one after another, I sort of would just go back and like you do like your like no kill run, the clean hands thing, and then like you can also do the stealth run Ghost. Or I've never done one of these with no powers because that sounds awful to me. The powers are the fun part.
I mean, no, I loved using Blink. I just wanted to give myself I came from the Thief series into Dishonored, so it was all about, oh, you don't see me, and using limited resources in very effective ways. Yeah,
sure. There definitely is merit to that, and like I want to say quickly, like my almost my biggest shout out to Arkane is that all of these levels are designed in such a clever way that you can play all of them with literally any configuration of the powers they give you, or no powers, without killing anybody, with killing everybody, or without getting seen. All of the levels are designed so tightly that all of those things are possible.
Yeah, I mean, I was wondering how the levels even bloody worked, because from what you've told me about this, there's just so many ways you can approach it. Not only have you got... I mean, you literally call it like an assassination game where you don't have to assassinate anyone. How... As someone who has seen very little from this game, what do you guys think of the level design in both titles?
No,
it's good.
They're good, both in a game design sense, and that they're very satisfying to play through. But they're also very good in a
an aesthetic sense, I guess.
In an aesthetic and lore sense, in that they actually look and feel like real places that people would be, not just levels.
Yes, they are all very lived-in places. There are, like, the amount of people you would imagine. There are the amount of buildings and homes you would imagine relative to the number of, like, stores or whatever, like, places by the river are more populated, things like that. Like, they really, really look like real cities.
And there are some, obvious concessions to, this is a stealth game, like the very blatant, window hatches that you can slip through to lose pursuers and the ductworks. But even then, that still feels like a consequence of the setting, and because those window hatches are there because there isn't central heating or AC, despite the whale punk. So they're just like, oh, it's hot, open the vent windows, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I love how with Dishonored, there's like so many high up places as well. It's not just like a level design like that's so intricate from the ground. It's like from the ground up. Like there's like you can either do it on foot or you can go up like onto roofs. You can climb onto drain pipes. It's so interesting to work your way around a level and to be either sneaking past people or using these heights or the ground level as an advantage to just kill everyone.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's. Sorry, what?
What's going on there, Tim? You alright?
Yeah, I'm
Did
fine.
you summon the outsider?
No. I'm hearing that weird sound too. So.
Oh.
Anyway,
Okay.
I suppose on the
Must have been the wind.
on the subject of how we approach these levels, since it sounds like there is an awful lot to do, I want to know what you thought the coolest moments were. I'll go back to you, Jess, for a second. What's the coolest moment in either Dishonored game?
It's definitely for me. It's this certain level in Dishonored 2 where you've got this device.
Oh, fucking yes.
Yeah, it can. So basically, you hold it in your hand, and it's like
Time knife.
Yeah, it's like a magnifying glass or something. And when you look through it, you can see what this building looked like in the past, and you can travel in and out of the present and the past to work your way around it. So this building's derelict when you approach it in the present. And if you found a room and the doorway is like collapsed, you can look into the past and sneak past all the staff and stuff through this doorway.
And then the time assassinations. Listen, if you time everything correctly, you can like use the glass to like see that there was somebody here 3 years ago, like a guard standing there, and you can transport yourself into the past and basically like stick your arm like with your like sword like into the past and assassinate somebody and then slide back into the present and just like kill somebody 3 years ago like out of nowhere and then like it's
just so cool.
Yeah, it's so cool.
So Nirav, is that your favorite moment as well, or have you got a different one?
That's tough. No, I think for like a moment, I mean, like, I will also say that the first game's story is actually excellently written too, and it is really thrilling to follow. So there was a lot of really cool story moments in that game. I think the story, a lot of the I don't know if you guys would agree with me. I mean, like, I think Dishonored 2's story is just kind of wholeheartedly less interesting, but the rest of the game is like pretty much better in every other way.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
Which is fine. Like, I mean, that's a very gameplay focused game, but the first one hit a very great balance of having such cool gameplay as well as like such an interesting story. But yeah, there was there's a lot of really cool story moments, of course, but like, man, there are so many things like when finding a lot of this stuff for the first time, especially in the second game, like a lot of the witchcraft stuff was like so terrifying. Like the witches play like a very big part in the second game, but having to like figure out how all the occult stuff worked and like what all they were doing was really cool. My favorite level, if we're gonna like kind of say that, I know the Clockwork Mansion, I think, is like the basic bitch answer for this. That's like everyone's answer. I would say that probably my favorite level is actually the conservatory from the second game, the witches' conservatory. Basically, it's a mansion that has been overrun and inhabited by like a coven of witches who have transformed it into their sort of occult hideout, and so it's it's very vertical, like Jess was saying earlier. Like it's a 7-story mansion, I think, and there are hundreds of ways to traverse this mansion. Like no matter what room you go into or what floor or which way you move up. Because, like, there's a big open part in the middle, and then there's witches everywhere, though. And the thing about witches in the second game is very cool, is that they have the same powers as you. So they are much more difficult to fight than just random guards with the sword. But I was so impressed with that. I remember, like, sneaking in. I remember I turned... At one of my runs on Dishonored 2, like, I managed to sneak into the mansion, into the basement by turning into a fish and like sliding through like up a fountain like a salmon. and like up through the water and then out of the pipes and like into a toilet. And that was
I
amazing.
mean, this game sounds almost as wild as I thought it was. Almost.
Yeah, almost. Anyway,
Yeah.
like, yeah, I don't want to like ramble too long. Ooh, also finding the Oculus device that they built there was so cool, because I remember like there were like 4 witches there, and I just had to keep like sneaking behind them and like strangling them, and then like I like threw their body to distract the other ones, and then I'd strangle the one at the back. And just do it again.
And if they don't
just
see
like,
you when you do that, that still counts as being unseen.
Yeah. So yeah, like I said, I've gone through these all the different ways. Like I've done the ghost run and the clean hands run of both of these. I recently, my big accomplishment is that I recently, like a few months ago, reran through Dishonored 1, and I did it on very hard mode with clean hands and ghost the whole way through, which was very cool.
But not mostly flesh and steel?
Which one is that?
That's when you don't use any powers besides blink.
Oh yeah, no, I love the powers. I maxed them
no,
out.
they're great. It's just literally, my thought was, all right, I wanted to do the challengiest challenge run for my first game, and I've done so many like high power, like stealth, low chaos runs. I just have, and I said I haven't done my chaos run. I literally am on the last level. I'm like, I just don't want to do this. I don't want to see bad Emily.
Kill.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. It's because I feel so much for little Emily, and I feel for her as an adult too. I just don't want to be, a bad dad.
Yeah.
And the chaos...
So, I want to... Sorry.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah, no, I just don't want to be a bad dad to Emily.
I feel like we might be screaming into a void here, into the void here, because...
Can we get powers?
So, we're talking about chaos a lot, and it's not because of the Joker.
Okay, I mean, it sounds like... I feel like we're slipped into talk about Kingdom Hearts with some of these terms being thrown around.
Yeah, so there are two stories you can have in both of these games: low chaos and high chaos.
Okay.
Low chaos is if you kill very few people. That I believe the cutoff is 20% of the guards, like or of the people inhabiting.
Yeah,
the world,
because you can kill a lot more than just guards. But
even
if
you
you
can
just
kill
kill
civilians.
even if you just kill all the guards, you'll be more than 20% dead.
Yeah, for sure. And so the way the game works is that it's a series of missions. Each mission checks on how many people you killed in the last mission, and if you did like a high chaos run of your last mission, it changes the world to make the game more difficult.
Oh, okay,
basically
that's interesting.
the idea being that like if I invaded the downtown of Dunwall on the bridge, like near the docks, and I killed a bunch of people. The security for the palace is going to be much tighter because there's a crazy person running around killing everybody.
That is, I mean, I suppose that feeds
into
how you said this world feels very lived in. This is, that's very dynamic. I like the sound of that.
So, yeah, the chaos runs on the second game are actually even more dynamic because in the second game there are these things called blood flies, which are everyone's favorite. Blood flies are a plague creature, basically, they almost look like tiny birds, if you look at them closely.
Yeah, they're like mosquito birds.
Yeah, they're like mosquito birds, but basically they suck blood, and if like even 5 or 6 of them can get to a person at once, they'll be dead. Like, they'll have all the blood drained out of them. But they also make nests inside of corpses. And they specifically make nests inside of corpses so they can use the body to grow more nests and hatch more blood fly children.
That's charming.
And you find a lot of those nest corpses.
In the first game, it's just rats, so they really up their.
They ease you into it. So in the second game, like I said, the blood flies show up, and so the really cool thing with the high chaos is if you do a high chaos run and you kill a bunch of people and you leave a bunch of corpses around, that also creates a lot more room for blood fly nests, and the number of blood flies multiplies exponentially each time.
That doesn't sound fun.
So the more bodies you leave behind, the more difficult the game gets too, on top of the whole chaos system.
Yeah, also because the blood flies, like the rats, can attack you too, if you're not careful.
Lovely.
Yeah.
And the rats can only attack you if you were, in the wrong spot or on the ground and they couldn't reach you. Blood flies can fly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
that's part of their name.
Exactly.
I'm guessing the blood flies probably aren't part of your favourite part of the game, Tim. What is your favourite part of either of these games?
Well, getting to how everything has consequences, even the clean hands run, there is one moment in the first game that I just love to show that even your mercy is not merciful. In fact, it might be worse. So the very first assassination you can do, you can either just straight up kill the guy, or you can brand him as a heretic, meaning... And by the way, this is the Chief Inquisitor of the Empire. So he's the one responsible for basically making this brand a thing.
So he probably doesn't want to be a heretic, I'm guessing. Not overly fond of the term.
No,
yes.
He doesn't enjoy it.
And
no.
if you are branded by the mark of the heretic, literally society, by his own law, has to shun you, cast you out, throw you into the sewers.
Oh, so that's not ideal.
No, but many missions later, you can find him nearly dead in the sewers.
Oh.
Trying to eke out an existence.
Oh, charming. It's a very happy game.
Yes.
It is, yeah. It's a lot of excitement.
And just that he got what was coming to him. And no matter what.
Honestly, if you look at all of these, I think it's ironic almost to call it a mercy run, because that's why they call it clean hands, I think. Yeah. But
oh no, it's because I didn't kill anybody. There's no blood.
Yeah.
There's just
there's no blood.
But
you've just ruined so many people's lives, But that's much more
right. We've talked, we talked about this. The best way to say it is you can either kill them or you can assign them a fate worse than death.
Yeah.
Pretty much every time.
Oh yeah, because there's two people who run essentially. Slave mines, you can cut their tongues out.
Yeah, we talked about this one in our presentation. Yeah, you remember that, Reed? They get their tongues cut out?
Oh, yeah. Your
friend Slackjaw?
I loved him. I remember that. But then there was a really creepy one, and that's when I went on a tangent about the shrimp lady, because she wasn't a shrimp.
Yeah.
What had happened? Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I almost wish she was a shrimp, because it's actually quite dark. Wouldn't you, kidnap her. You kidnap her, and then you present her to this simp she's got, and she's forced to marry him.
Technically, he just takes her away from there, and it's left
ambiguous.
Is
maybe strong. It's actually resolved.
Oh yeah, you did reassure me of that. Yeah.
There is a letter you find that kind of details how that she actually a few weeks later managed to kill him and escape from the mansion, and she's been gone out of nobody's ever seen her again.
Yeah, which is basically what the developer said. So it's a horrible, but she's totally gonna get one up on him immediately.
Yeah,
I'm trying to remember what was the fourth mission's not kill in the first game.
Who was the target for that one?
That's what I'm trying to remember. The first three missions are super memorable, and then I don't really remember anything after the fourth one, because then that's when shit goes down. The fourth mission is just to actually rescue Emily. So.
Oh no, I'm thinking of the second game.
That's the Golden Cat. Yeah. In the Golden Cat, that was the brothers there.
Yeah.
So, but in the second, there are some pretty harsh ones. The one that actually really stuck with me was in the second game, Jindosh. It's a really interesting sort of quandary, because Jindosh is sort of this intelligent, this maniac who's the smartest guy in the world basically, and he's the one who develops the army of clockwork soldiers that you have to fight in the second game. But he is he's the most brilliant young mind in the Empire basically, and basically what you do is you sneak into his house and use his inventions. There's an invention he has. You knock him out and you strap him into this chair, and it basically electrocutes his brain so that he becomes basically like a vegetable, but he's still alive. And but he also understands that he used to be smart, and you basically have assigned him this fate of he's basically I don't want to say he's I don't know. He's lost his mental capabilities to think or act for himself, and you basically just take that away from him and leave him as a husk
that's
of a
horrifying.
Didn't he build that device himself? So
he did build the device to use on other people.
Yeah, so he's being hoisted by his own petard.
Oh.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's pretty much what all of these are. They're kind of, they get what's coming to them.
You guys enjoyed this game. This is so disturbing. This is so dark.
This is the nice run. We're talking about the nice run where you don't kill anybody.
Though technically, you can still do the nice run, get clean hands, and murder your assassination targets, and it counts because they all do have it coming one way or another.
Yeah, but it's so much more fun to do it the other way because that adds like a whole extra quest, and they're always so interesting.
I will hand that to you. They sound interesting.
Yeah, they worked very hard to find like a way for that to be for each of them. And then what happens to honestly, I love what happens to Delilah. Like Delilah is the villain for the second game, which this is, I guess, light spoilers for this 4-year-old game, but yeah, like Delilah is your aunt, your illegitimate aunt, like your mother's I guess bastard sister, and she comes back to she's been training to be a witch, which you know that story is the Brigmore witches from the first Dishonored. So in the second game, she returns and she's like, "This is my throne, everyone," and like looks around, and she dethrones you by like having a bunch of murders of your political enemies committed and framing you for it and calling you the crown killer. And so she's like, "I'll take over because your empress is killing everyone," and everyone's like, "Okay," and so you have to like escape basically, and anyway, so you get to the end. There are a few things that you can do with Delilah to defeat her at the end. My favorite is like the sort of fate worse than death. What she does is she creates like this. You fight her in this alternate reality she's created where she's the only thing that exists. Like, it's perfect for her because there is just her and her alone, and there's just like an infinite number of her almost. And like, in a sense, what you're doing is you can seal her in that world to be alone with herself and rule over nobody for the rest of eternity.
Disturbing somehow than the other. Somehow I find that even less disturbing. I think that's just because the others are so disturbing. I mean, I want to know how scared of you guys I should be. So Jess and Tim, what did you guys do at the end of the game? I want to know.
Look.
Well, let's see. I think I just sealed her away. You can also just straight up murder her, but
yeah, you can do that.
What else is there?
There's another third thing you can do, and I can't remember off the top of my head what it is.
Yeah, I played at clean hands as well. I think in the playthrough I'm doing of the Outsider, I have killed a few people. I will throw my hands up, but it's for the bounties because I wanted more money. So that's they're not quite so clean hands.
You got the semi-clean run.
Yeah, I got the semi-clean, but also
very,
greedy
very
hands.
specific run. Okay.
Yeah.
I think there's another thing on Dishonored 2 where you can like turn Delilah into a statue like she did to Corvo, kind of a thing.
There's trapping her in the painting world, turning her into a statue, and just murdering her, I think.
Yeah.
It's all good. But yeah, so it's like the fact that you can do this in any fashion, like kind of like this is my favorite kind of game, and like in my mind is sort of like, for me, like why video games even exist. It's for developers to like make this sort of this crazy robust world, to give you a bunch of tools and say outsmart me. And like that's what the whole game is you are trying to outsmart the developers with a set of tools.
In that sense, sorry, no, continue.
Yeah.
Even when you even when you don't choose to use any of them, like on the Flesh and Steel, and mostly Flesh and Steel, like when you choose half of them, there's still so many ways to outsmart them. And then there's the ways to outsmart even what they didn't intend, because there's lots of funny little glitches. If you're in the right place, you can start climbing up walls just because.
So
it wouldn't be a Bethesda game if there weren't lots of little.
Yeah, I think that's why he didn't even bring it up. It just goes without saying, doesn't it? I mean, is it as glitchy as the others? It's.
No,
so it does just work.
Not in any way, no.
Yeah.
It does, yeah. There are the glitches are all just like, oh, my hand's like moving, like my hand
standard
is moving
stuff
through a wall or something, or like a guard like tripped and like fell sideways,
And there's a couple of them that literally have to do with moving in specific places to nudge yourself again. Because while you're not supposed to be able to get up certain places, they don't have a dedicated ceiling anywhere on the game box. So if you or on the game world, so if you can get above it, there's walkable terrain almost everywhere. It's just really high up. So a lot of speedruns of the game involve glitching yourself over the world.
Okay, very, very so quickly. I'm glad to hear that some of the Bethesda hallmarks are here. But just as we get towards the end, yes. I suppose, just so I can get more of a feel whether this game is for me, I'm not actually like super familiar with stealth games, but even so, I just want to know what other games in the genre, or maybe other genres, you'd say this is similar to?
BioShock.
A little bit BioShock. BioShock is not as focused on stealth, but it's got the similar mission-based, going through a very realistic world.
The combat's similar too. Yeah. The Thief series is like the main one it's based on.
Yeah, the Thief series is what led to Dishonored. They wanted to make their own Thief. I mean, nobody was making Thief at that time.
Jess, you just said it was similar to Hitman. Is it like very, very similar, or?
Yeah, because it's the level design, really. It's the same kind of concept over, like, you can approach a level however you want. Like in Hitman, there's just like an infinite number of choices of where you can go and how you can approach a target. Same with Dishonored.
Unfortunately, Corvo cannot be an ice cream man.
No, the difference is like Corvo's pretty much stealthing, and the Agent 47 sort of is like hiding in plain sight kind of a thing.
Yeah, I mean, he can stealth too.
But Agent 47 can't turn into a fish and swim upstream, unfortunately.
You're not playing with the right mobs then.
But I would say that it's also similar. I also, one thing that I don't think is talked about enough is that, like, I think Dishonored is one of the very few games, and maybe one of the first also, to get first-person sword combat right. Yeah, because I think it's very hard to do first-person sword combat, especially with parrying
I can't think of any games where it's been done well, to be honest.
Yeah, it's done well enough to be serviceable in this, for sure.
It helps that he's got a very like direct, angular sword style. Like, he is all stabs and upward slices.
Corvo also has an interesting sword, because he has a unique sword that's a folding blade. Like, it folds back into a knife and then folds open into a full-length sword.
And it's fun to just watch it go up and down and up and down. And...
Yeah, it is fun.
Okay, so it's getting towards the end now. I'll talk about Dishonored. Now, with obviously Bethesda in the news again, if there is a Dishonored 3, looking at the story of the first two and the DLC, what sort of direction would you want this to go in? I mean, I'll have it over to Nirav first. These are the facts. I'm sure he's got a lot of ideas, I take it.
Okay, in an interview 2 years ago, Arkane talked about how they said that what they call the Empress storyline has been 100% completed. Death of the Outsider is the last piece of that story.
Oh, that's good.
We will never see Corvo or Emily ever again.
Good. They need the rest.
Yes, they do. And I am very happy about that. They said that they do plan to return to the world of Dishonored one day when they can, and when they do, it will be in a place that is geographically very far away from Dunwall, and also in a time very far away from now.
Ooh, did they want to go earlier or later?
They did not say.
Ooh, interesting.
I would love it to be as Billy during her travels before the events of Dishonored 2.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Like, I think that they are definitely going to try to, like, make it completely disconnected to this storyline, though, because...
I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing more of Dunwall, but, you know...
I want to see more of the rest of the world.
Yeah, I would love to travel between all of the places, is what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah, sure. Always good to travel.
Yeah.
But my ideal situation would be something like far in the future, almost, of there being and I guess I'll toss this out. There are some. It's not specifically canon, but there are a lot of hints that Arkane's other game, Prey, is actually in the same universe as Dishonored, just very far in the future.
That would not surprise me in the slightest.
There are a lot of shared items, like, and there are a few brands that are shared, interestingly enough, like a brand of, like, there's like a specific brand of like jellied eels with like the same logo that exists in Prey, and like there's some other things like that.
And everything on the space station is technically powered by whales. Yeah. No.
Yeah, it is. And so it's not like specifically stated anywhere, but it is kind of it's fun to believe.
Yeah, and the Void would explain a lot of the weirdness in Prey. So
yeah, who knows?
Okay, have we got any more pitches for Dishonored 3 in case any of the developers are listening?
Make it big open worldy. I mean, you don't have to do like Skyrim style. Just give me a big sandbox that I can mess around in. Lots of places to explore, lots of places to climb. Give us a glider, and not only will I be happy, but Kate will play your game forever.
Yeah. We need to just add all the bits of other games we like. Maybe like collectible monsters could be good.
Yeah.
Playground.
I choose you.
Okay, so one thing from this I do kind of want to note is that like because Microsoft owns the Dishonored IP now, any of their 23 studios could toss out a game, and I would honestly love to see someone else take a swing at not Dishonored 3, not a main series game, but like a spinoff. I would love to see somebody take a swing at doing like a 2D action platformer. I think would work great in this kind of world, something like that. But I think there's a lot of different ways they could go to satiate us because, Arkane mentioned, by the way, not on Tuesday, the day after Microsoft announced the acquisition, that they are working on their studio has started work on their new like AAA game under Microsoft. We don't know what it is, or if it is a Dishonored game or something entirely different. Just to toss out again more factoids. I know you guys love factoids. Arkane has 2 studios. One is in Lyon, France, and the other is in Austin, Texas. The Austin studio is the one that made Prey and Mooncrash, the DLC for Prey, and then all of the Dishonored stuff has come out of Lyon. So Lyon has been working on Deathloop, obviously, and Deathloop is coming out early next year. And the Austin, Texas group was working on Wolfenstein Youngblood, and once that was done, they have been working on Mystery Project. So
that's obviously going to be the prequel to Prey, Eat, and then they're going to work on the sequel.
The important part.
They're working on the prequel to Prey, Eat, and then after that, it's going to be Love.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
I've been waiting on that one.
Yeah. That's anyway, those are all my factoids. I'm sorry.
Okay, and most importantly, for the whole franchise here, does it need more or less ghosts?
More!
Yeah, there's actually surprisingly little ghosts.
There are not a lot of ghosts.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there...
Wait, so with all this bonkers stuff going on, you're telling me there's no ghosts?
There's just surprisingly little.
What are the... I mean, like, the Outsider's not really a ghost, is he?
Well, he's sort of...
He looks like a ghost.
I don't know. What ghost were you thinking of?
I was specifically thinking of some of the time phantoms. Like, you can see weird echoes of things with the heart, and...
Oh.
But,
yeah.
I mean, and some of those are of people who are dead by the time you get there, but no, it needs actual ghosts.
Yeah, I think real-ass ghosts.
Yeah.
Put them in.
Dishonored 3 is in the afterlife where you're with all of Corvo's victims, or lack of victims, depending on how you played it.
It's just a completely empty game. No.
I just remembered that the last level of Death of the Outsider takes place in the Void, and you are surrounded by ghosts. You are surrounded by legions of dead people.
Okay.
Oh, don't spoil it for me.
It's very good. Also, the Void Walkers, the creatures from that level, are so cool. They are terrifying. Oh. Okay.
All right, I'm handing back over to you.
You're
sorry. You've got to stop fanboying now. I'm sorry.
Get me out of here. Okay, so it is time for games. Today we're doing Steampunk Switcheroo, which is kind of a fun time. So I found some titles of in-game notes, and notes to add to the lore. Yeah, the logs that you find, and from BioShock they're the audio logs, but basically from either Dishonored or BioShock Infinite, And I tried to pick out very steampunk ideas for each of these, so I need you guys to identify which game each of these comes from.
Okay.
All right, let me pop this open. And I've randomized the order. Okay. The Broken Circle.
I think that one's Dishonored.
I'm getting Dishonored vibes.
Come on, you're better than that. This one's from BioShock.
Ooh.
Oh.
Okay. All debts are paid.
That could be either.
Oh, BioShock.
What?
I say that, I mean, that I wouldn't be surprised if it was a note in either, but I think I remember one from one of the random side missions you could do in Dishonored that was all debts are paid.
Okay, what do you think, Ree?
Oh god. Okay, I'm gonna go with. I'm getting Dishonored vibes again.
Okay. Jess, you want to chip in?
BioShock Infinite.
It is BioShock Infinite.
Okay.
I like how confident you are because you already knew what it was.
Oh, so we're not just limited to the first one. Okay.
Oh yeah, no, these are all from Infinite. That's why it's sort of a steampunk thing, which I think yeah.
Yeah, that changes things because I was thinking of the original BioShock for some reason.
Oh, okay, sure. Yeah, these are all from Infinite. Okay, Death in the Month of Songs.
What does that even mean?
Sorry?
I'm very excited. Repeat that one, sorry?
Death in the Month of Songs.
Oh. I have got no bloody clue. Let's just go with Dishonored.
I'm gonna go with Dishonored.
Yeah, that one is from Dishonored. Okay. How about this one? I Am His Mirror.
Oh. BioShock?
Yeah,
I think
BioShock.
Yeah, that is from BioShock, because that is referring to Father Comstock.
Yeah.
I was thinking it could also be in Dishonored, referring to the Outsider. Or something like that. Alright. Another Arc for Another Time.
Oh,
BioShock.
Dishonored.
I'm gonna go BioShock on that one.
That one's a BioShock. Okay. Doing pretty well. The Hungry Cosmos.
Oh, what?
Dishonored, I think.
Dishonored.
Yeah.
It's not okay, you got me. Alright. This one conveniently ended up at the end because I think it merges the two nicely. On Branding Heretics.
It goes so well with both.
Yeah, I'm going with Dishonored.
It's Dishonored.
Yeah, that is Dishonored. I'm pretty sure you do some heretic branding in BioShock Infinite, though.
Well, no, you are the heretic that is branded.
Oh,
and that's how
sure.
you're recognized by your brand.
Oh yeah, the Beast.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, let's close out by heading over to the Wishing Well. Everybody, please grab a gold coin. Does the currency have a name? I don't think so. I think they're just called gold.
Yeah.
Yeah. Grab coin, everybody.
All right. Grab another coin and another coin. Hold on, I'll be back in about an hour. I've got to grab every coin in the entire tri-state area.
Oh boy. So now that Microsoft owns Arkane, this maybe I didn't word this question correctly on here, but basically what I'm asking is like, which property that is currently owned by Microsoft or anything owned by Microsoft now should Arkane tackle as like their new AAA project?
Halo. Stealth Halo game.
Tell me about the Stealth Halo game. I'm interested.
I mean, essentially, you wouldn't be playing as a Spartan. You'd be playing as special operative, probably still in a in a mech suit, and you'd be going behind enemy lines during any of the various Halo conflicts. Working for the humans, trying to find out. You wouldn't be necessarily assassinating targets all the time. You would be sometimes, but you'd be looking for information to help the war effort. So you'd be stealing information. It would be a big focus on not being seen and not leaving a trace. So it would focus very much on a stealth game.
Right,
there would
leave
still
no
be
trace.
Obvious times where you'd have to, but you'd be, it'd be sort of like Hitman, where you get rewarded more for not being seen.
Okay.
And you'd have all sorts of sci-fi gadgets to be super stealthy.
I would love to try really anything else, anything in Halo that is not like a shooter.
Yeah.
You know, I think that'd be really fascinating.
All right, well, you're going to love the Halo dating sim.
Yeah. Master Chief doesn't take his helmet off.
No.
And it's even better because of that. Jess, what do you think?
I think Arkane should do a remaster of Skyrim. You know why? Because Dishonored has something that you can't do in Skyrim. You can climb.
That is true.
That is very true.
Skyrim, so
you
we
can climb if you have a horse.
That mountain.
You can climb that mountain.
So wait, hold on. Jess, are you telling me that Todd was lying when he said, see that mountain, you
Todd
can climb it?
would never lie. I don't want you saying a more goddamn...
I mean, if you define climb a mountain as in get on your horse and that can
yeah, and ride it vertically 90 degrees up the mountain.
I'll have you know...
Or keep on, like, jumping up against...
Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say...
a tiny little bit of ledge.
I played Skyrim for a good hours, and I think... one of those hours was just jumping up a hill that I needed to get up because I couldn't find the path. So, yeah. That counts as climbing, in a sense. I went up it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Very cool. So, I think, for me, and I know this is going to sound crazy at first, bear with me. Listen to my pitch.
Oh, God.
Okay. This is a spin-off, okay? And I think that Arkane should do a game in the Fable universe.
You know what?
They should.
You know what? I was about to say
Actually,
the exact same thing. I was about to say the exact same thing.
Yeah. I think that it would be awesome to see them tackle, like, a real high fantasy situation, like, the weirdness of it all. And, like, can you imagine, like, walking around that world with, like, with a fucking sword, and then the other hand you have like a big fireball.
Honestly,
and like
that's like the Fable I wanted as a kid. I'm the biggest Fable fan, and when I was looking at this Dishonored screenshots in the video we did, literally like I was just thinking, why, you know, it reminded me of Fable 3. I'll get into that when it's my one in a bit, but yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah. Okay,
and
cool.
It would be like advanced chicken kicking as well. You can not only
advanced chicken kicking,
but you can like walk onto a lamp that's like really high up, and then do like a jump and like jump kill onto the chicken.
Oh, do a flying stealth kill.
I feel like I'd be concentrating. What kind of fate worse than death would you assign the chicken?
just to exist in a Fable game. Exist in a Fable game.
Oh.
Yeah.
Got him.
To serve eggs to everybody.
The chicken has to serve its own eggs.
Yes, and it knows how to prepare them and has to.
It's compelled like the ancient mariner.
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay.
God. All right, Ree, what were you going to say?
Okay, so as the one Fable 3 defender, I feel like that setting, that steampunk setting had a lot of potential, but looking at the trailer for the next Fable game, it looks very clear that they've abandoned that and they've gone back to the setting of the first Fable. So I would love for the developers of Dishonored to take the reins on maybe a spin-off, or even like I think they could handle a main entry, sort of giving the Industrial Revolution vibe of Fable 3 another go, but like actually making the game good, because that would be revolutionary.
That'd be cool. When you said the words Fable 3 Defenders, I was thinking, was there a game called Fable 3 Defenders that only appeared on the 3DS? Because it definitely sounds like there might have been.
It does, but no, unfortunately there was a game called Fable 3 released in 2010, which killed the entire series.
Yeah, I'm glad that they're doing a full reboot on
Yeah.
that. That was the right decision.
Yeah.
Thanks, Peter Molyneux. Shout out to him. He should be our new Todd Howard.
Peter Molyneux?
He should.
So we've got to make lots of promises about the next episode that we're never going to deliver.
I think Peter Molyneux is more of a Todd Howard than Todd Howard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can watch that tree grow in real time from an acre.
Right. Oh, that's fair enough. It's like that guy who beat Michael Jackson as a Michael Jackson impersonator contest.
Oh my god, absolutely.
Yeah, it's like
I think Todd Howard is awake at night in a cold sweat thinking, I cannot bullshit as much as Molyneux did.
Molyneux's fucking coming for me.
He's gonna kick my ass in real time.
So a great story about that comment about the tree. That presentation was the first time that the developers of Fable had heard about
Yeah,
that feature.
honestly, I did a feature on Molyneux a while back, and it's amazing. Like, apparently the developers, that was his strategy to motivate, and he's admitted to this. He would go to interviews with the press, announce the feature before he told the developers he wanted that in the game. That is, I mean, that's some 5D chess right there.
I love it. I guess we'll go ahead and close out. I guess I don't need to explain why to thank Todd Howard for this one. Thanks, bud. Yeah, you can find us at GameLuster.com, and you can also find us at YouTube.com/GameLuster. You can find me on Twitter at Gondeezy, and I want to toss it around to the guests. So, Ree, you have any plugs?
Well, as usual, my Twitter, which is, I think, fairly good, Ree_Bevan. Also want to plug, as usual, the video we're working on, Dishonored this time, so very fitting. Watch it when it's out, so you can watch me go on about a shrimp conspiracy and continuously change my mind on who the good guys and the bad guys are.
Yeah,
so it's just like playing the real Dishonored.
Yeah, it's very similar. I mean, honestly, if you just replace the shrimp with whales, it's pretty much that.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay, Tim, you got any plugs?
Yeah, it's called Console Tours. My wife Kate and I are at the moment going through Sinnoh and comparing the towns and locations of Pokemon to Hokkaido, the area of Japan that it was based off of, and in the future we're going to be doing more locations. We're going to be doing other games too. We're planning on doing Okami, and the Hokkaido representation there, and probably some other Pokemon games too. But we're also going to be starting up a series called Introduction to Plumbing 035, as I take Kate through all of the mainline Mario games.
Wow,
because Kate has never played them.
Are there 19 of them? Is that right?
Well, we're not going to be hitting every single one, but we're going to be hitting the first 3 on the NES, plus Lost Levels, World, Yoshi's Island, Mario 64, Sunshine, Galaxy, and Odyssey, and I'm not sure about the new 2DS, but I'm probably going to do 3D World.
I love that you also left out Galaxy 2.
Well, I mean, I'd have to hook my Wii back up and get that recording too,
Fair
so
enough.
it's not that easy to get Galaxy 2 at the moment.
Nintendo agrees.
Nintendo also said,
they agree that it's not worth the effort.
They were like, we just don't want to dig out the Wii.
the notoriously hated Galaxy 2. No one liked it.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Jess?
I haven't got anything that's come out recently, really, but I'm working on a throwback article on the Dark Souls series because I've just finally finished playing it for the first time. Yeah, just in time, really, for their next one coming out. And yeah, it's taken me about 2 years to complete them because I was doing university at the same time and also, rage quit.
Right. Have you played Sekiro?
No, I haven't. My next one's going to be Bloodborne
do
and then
Sekiro.
Sekiro.
Better.
And then Jedi Fallen Order, the other Soulsborne game.
Yeah, the other Souls game that
I have that
forgot to make.
I need to play more of it.
Yeah.
I've not popped up onto that one yet, but it's very low on my wish list.
I mean, I love Star Wars. I love Star Wars games, so.
Yeah,
okay,
the most unexpected Dark Souls-like game to have come out.
Right. The next, Elden Ring will be in about 4 to 5 years, is what I'm thinking right now. So you got plenty of time.
Yeah. Well, the rate I played the Dark Souls series out, I'll probably finish Sekiro just in time for Elden Ring.
All right. So yeah, we've. By the way, speaking of all this, my top 10 this week is actually the top 10 games that Xbox should make now that they have the Bethesda studios, kind of mixing and matching their IPs and studios now. Had some interesting ideas. You should go check that out. But yeah, we also have, I had another video pop up kind of doing a short Indian perspective on Raji and Ancient Epic, which is a game based in Hindu mythology, which was pretty cool. Check that out. Yeah, but I think that's probably it for now. I guess that we'll just have to, everyone, we're just I'm going to hit up the Applebee's, I guess, now, so. get that $1 margarita.
Hit up the Weatherspoons while it's still open.
Yeah, what could you get for $1 at Spoons?
Oh yeah.
Oh, $1 at Spoons? I think you can get some peas for that, and maybe, I don't know. They do need drinks.
Sorry,
for
some
that,
peas?
Yeah, just get some peas.
We have a curfew.
You're just gonna order like a side of peas?
At the moment, though.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Will be open for about an hour and a half.
Yeah, because the UK has this special brand of coronavirus that only gets infectious at 10 p.m. So they've put in a curfew at 10 p.m.
The midnight corona.
Midnight Rona.
We'll just call
at 10 p.m.
That's what they mean by the sun never sets on the British Empire. You have corona that's only there at midnight.
Man.
It's your own midnight sun.
I've seen the midnight sun up in Norway.
Yeah.
It was cool. I guess that was sort of my flex that I've been to Norway. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you guys for joining us. Please, you can find me in the. You can find me passed out in the car park of the Spoons at 10:01 p.m. tonight. And so I guess last word for our winner, Tim. That was you, correct, with the horses?
Yes.
All right, take us out on your signature catchphrase.
The conspiracy has dissolved due to irreconcilable differences.
Was that the whole thing?
Yeah.